Dinosaur Planet by Rare. It was going to be a great N64 title. I mean, basically Rare produced gold on the N64. But it wasn't released. It came out as Star Fox Adventures for the GameCube, which, retrospectively, is a great game. People really enjoyed that experience. However, at the time, it was confusing as hell. With Dinosaur Planet, you're going to have an original Rare IP. It's going to be sort of a Zelda-style action-adventure title, some puzzle elements mixed in. Miyamoto suggested that they give a little bit of that Nintendo flair, and instead of having it be its own IP, why not try to bump those sweet sales up with Fox McCloud? And that's what they did, which is why it was so confusing for the time, because it was Star Fox meets Zelda. A lot of fans have wondered over the years what the original Dinosaur Planet would be like, and as time went on, more trailers were dug up and hit YouTube. In fact, there's some gameplay from Dinosaur Planet that you can watch on YouTube, which we're going to showcase a lot of here today. Ultimately, they were going to be very, 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 very similar games. But of course, like any title, it goes through changes. And not all of these changes were because Fox McCloud was in it. Some of these changes were just because they made adjustments or because they were transitioning from the N64 to the GameCube. So models needed to be updated, environments needed to be updated, more polygons needed to be tossed into the mix, that kind of stuff. So that brings us to where we are today. Hugo Peters has discovered a ton of beta Dinosaur Planet and Star Fox Adventures content on a Star Fox Adventures kiosk demo disc. Now, this disc was released online some time ago, and Hugo, in addition to some other people, had explored it and found some of this content, but more recently he's taken another dive back in with some additional tech that he had created, and he was able to dig up a lot more unused and sort of transitional content. So that's what we're going to go ahead and take a look at today. I should note that I did my best to make this footage as smooth as possible. In some cases, movement can be a little bit jerky, so I do apologize if that is the case. Now here we have Sabre Sword. Now Sabre was originally the character that they swapped out for Fox McCloud.
I am Sabre, Royal Knight from the planet Animus.
My name is Krystal, and I've come for the princess.
You can see the sword being utilized in early trailers. Here are Krystal's first-person hands. So what does that mean? So in Dinosaur Planet, the player was originally able to switch into a first-person mode where they could perform, various spells and magic and such. And this is what you would have seen on screen, of course, like a first-person perspective, like an FPS. You see the guns and the hands. You would have just seen the hands moving around. Here's some footage as an example. So here's a prototype Fox McCloud, and this is interesting because it's actually sort of in between N64 and GameCube era. What I mean by that is that it's more complex and has more polygons than the N64 could have handled, but it's not quite the final model that you see on the GameCube version. So here's the final model. Hugo's theory is that this was maybe during a time of transition where the developers didn't have GameCube dev kits yet. They knew they were moving to the GameCube, they knew it had to be higher poly count, but they didn't know what the specs were yet.
So this is Discovery Falls.
Next up, we have a model for Kite, who originally was going to be Krystal's sort of sidekick type character, as you can see here. Kite isn't in the game anymore in this capacity. She's just sort of a tutorial character now. Now we have the giant swap stones. Now, these two characters were originally brothers, and they were used to warp to different places or swap characters. In Star Fox Adventures, there aren't two. It was dropped down to one, so they're no longer brothers. And it's no longer called a swap stone, it's called a warp stone. Here's a black scorpion that they found on the disc, and this one is unknown as to how it would have been utilized. Probably in some sort of desert or appropriate-ish area. Now here we have a Pop-Top, which is... This is just an early version of the enemy that made it into Star Fox Adventures. Now, I hope you guys like Tumbleweed, because we got some beta Tumbleweed. You can see here in an early trailer, this is a plant sort of thing that Krystal is dodging. Let's go ahead and take a break from the models and take a look at some of the unused and early version environments. Here's an early version of a Lightfoot Village, originally called Swapstone Circle, and it was supposed to be one of the two areas to include a swap stone, the other being Swapstone Hollow, which was ultimately turned into Thorntail Hollow. But of course, there's only one Swapstone or Warpstone now, so not only did the name change, but sort of the functionality of these two areas changed. This is where the totem poles would have been located. Here's where the test of strength would have taken place. And speaking of the test of strength, this is a beta version of the spinny lever thing you used in it. I don't know what it's called. Basically just the thing you pushed. And once you completed the trials of the Lightfoot Village, and you would have been made part of their tribe, the entrance to the underground area would open here. Here's a test level. Hugo mentions that some meshes are missing triangles, and after debugging, trying to figure it out, he said that it's safe to say that it's a problem with the data itself, not his viewer. Now here's an early version of Thorntail Hollow, originally supposed to be called Swapstone Hollow. You can see footage from this area in early E3 trailers, but of course also the final build of the game. You can tell here that even though I'm viewing this on a computer and it's very crisp and kind of upscaled, a lot of the textures look sort of old gen or N64-ish. And another interesting note is that you can see a lot of the exits are blocked out, which would be perfect for, like, oh, I don't know, an E3 demo, for example. Here is a beta bat. As you're aware, anytime you go into a cavern in Zelda, you get attacked by keys, so might as well have one of these guys in your game. And here we have a beta log. Not all of these are winners, but I mean, hey, it's still kind of cool to find beta content. The more the better. Some of them are going to be logs. Not all of them are going to be characters and player characters. And here we have various Lightfoot inhabitants. Keeping in the theme of Lightfoot, all of these totem poles would have been in the Lightfoot Village. And a cool thing here is the N64 logo. Now, Hugo added a little note here. He said that everybody talks about how Dinosaur Planet utilized the Ocarina of Time engine. He says that is not true. He believes it to be the Diddy Kong Racing engine, and this is actually the exact same model of the N utilized in Diddy Kong Racing. This is just sort of another hint toward that. Now here's something topical. It's a loot box. Not something you have to pay for, obviously, but this would be just a destructible box in Dinosaur Planet. Break it open. Just a beta version. Also just a bunch of random crap in here. So that sums up the majority of the discoveries that were on the disc. Big thank you to Hugo Peters again for helping me out with this and for showcasing a ton of this stuff to the community. He created this model viewer, made it simple enough that an idiot like me could understand it and utilize it and explore it and capture footage, all that great stuff. So again, really appreciate it. And if you want to follow him, you can find him on Twitter. I'm going to put a link below and also put his handle on screen. So again, thank you very much. And to all of our viewers, thank you again for watching. Thank you for hitting that subscribe button and that notification button so you can know when our videos are coming out. We'll see you all next time. Thank you again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like and a share, and we will see you guys next time.